House Republicans are calling on the White House to release a complete set of visitors to President Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. The White House says no such logs exist, and the request came after 5 additional pages of documents marked as classified were found at the home just over the weekend.
So digging deeper into this is CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, good to see you, my friend. So how is the discovery of more documents at the president's Wilmington residence being accepted, being criticized there in Washington? How does it affect his chances of working with the Republicans in the new Congress?
Well, Republicans were already loath to work with this president. They campaigned on the promise of really stopping his agenda. But this certainly is giving them more fuel to a House majority that now has subpoena power. So you heard over the weekend a lot from the new Oversight Committee chairman, Representative Comer, asking for these logs, these visitor logs from his private residence, saying or claiming that they want to know who had access to these documents. The White House, of course, says that they don't keep logs of visits to the personal residence because they are personal residences, and that's in keeping with previous administrations. However, this has created a political problem for the president because he campaigned on kind of returning to norms, being transparent and trying to contrast himself to the previous president. And of course, we know in that 60 Minutes interview that we've played a few times, he was very critical of the former president for these documents, even though there are significant differences between this case and the case involving former President Trump. There is this question about transparency regarding this administration, given that they did not inform the public until 2 months after these first documents were found. So this is a political problem for the president, one that Republicans on Capitol Hill are very eager to really seize and use their investigatory powers to do so. Republicans, however, also have to answer the question of, if you think this is bad for the current president, don't you think it's bad for the former president? So this is a test of hypocrisy for them and for Democrats as well.
All right, Caitlin, let's talk about the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is a cap on how much money the federal government can borrow to pay its bills. And we are on track, according to the Treasury, to hit that ceiling on Thursday. That ceiling, by the way, $31.4 trillion. So feel better about your credit card bill for the moment. Kevin McCarthy, leader of the House, Speaker of the House, says he wants to negotiate with the president over raising the debt ceiling so we can still pay our bills as a country. But the White House has said in full, no, not going to do it. So how are things going to play out in the days ahead?
Yeah, when I got into journalism, I was told there would be no math. But every time I've covered this Congress, when Republicans have been in control, this is actually kind of the second debt limit fight that we are approaching. Republicans have wanted something in exchange for raising the debt ceiling. The White House says that they are not negotiating over the debt ceiling. This is just about essentially paying your credit card bill. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said that they will do everything they can to kind of stave some of this off. That could take them up until about June. So even though the deadline is Thursday, the Treasury Department is saying that they have some mechanisms in place that could let them ride this out a little bit longer. But the same fights are still going to remain. And over the past couple of weeks, as you both well know, we have gotten a big preview of how this House, can or cannot essentially handle negotiations over, who to pick as their leader, let alone spending negotiations. So you had this group of Republicans who were resistant to McCarthy trying to work in some of these exchanges over supporting him, asking for things in exchange for agreeing to raise the debt limit. And so this is going to be one of those fights that has real life implications for people at home. This is not just a political fight. This is something that could, of course, have huge implications for the economy, people's jobs, and kind of everything else surrounding it.
Yeah, in 2011, the last time the U.S. hit its debt ceiling, the Treasury later found that it took months for the economy to recover. It affects the stock market. It affects all sorts of things.
Our international reputation, it affects our credit rating. It affects our ability to pay to get loans from other countries, essentially. You know, I imagine there's a lot of eye rolling happening across America right now with all the dysfunction that we are forced to report on coming from Washington. You're anchoring Red and Blue later today. Tell us something good. Tell us something that's happening that we need to know about that maybe gives us a little bit of confidence in our institutions.
You know, not a lot, Lana, but we'll try to at least make it an informative discussion. We're going to talk a lot about these documents with Adriana Diaz. She and her team, of course, broke the news on these documents related to Biden. We're going to go to the White House, talk to Weijia Jiang about the political fallout for the president. We're also going to talk about the debt ceiling and all of this, but we're also going to talk about the mysterious Mr. Santos, the Republican congressman from New York that we've been reporting on a lot over the past couple of weeks. Some new revelations in that case, and he continues to serve in Congress with no signs yet of resigning. So we'll talk to our Scott McFarland more about that as well, all coming up.
That's definitely an interesting story.
It is indeed. All right, Caitlin Huey Burns, if that's your real name. Thank you very much.
So I'm told.
All right, we'll see you later. And a reminder, you can stream Red and Blue on CBS News every Monday through Thursday at 5, 6, and 9 p.m. Eastern.